Good morning, coming to you with another 3 minutes of encouragement. Today's encouragement is on self-care. So self-care is unanimously something that everybody needs. We all agree on that. Luke 5:16 says, Jesus often withdrew to himself to lonely places and prayed. I'm gonna say it again. Luke 5:16 says, Jesus often withdrew to himself to lonely places and prayed, meaning that was his way of self-care. And I know a lot of times we hear all the reasons why we should do self-care, which are all right. A lot of times we give a lot of excuses, pulled in so many directions. I got so much going on. It's just not enough time in my schedule. So many people need me. All those sound real good, but guess what? Who had a busier schedule than Jesus? Like literally everybody was needing something from him. But at the same time, he still often, it says often, he withdrew to himself. So often he separated from everybody. And in this day and age, everything's so fast paced. We're constantly doing stuff, and we've all come up with our own self-care methods, and whatever you use to refresh you, that's more power to you. But it's something that needs to be done frequently. And honestly, it may not always be a trip to Punta Cana. It may not always be Dubai. It may not always be Ocho Rios, because if that's not something you're able to do on a frequent or regular basis, you're not constantly refreshing yourself. And like we got to put our phones on a charger at least probably once a night, at least once a day. So you need to find time to recharge yourself on a more frequent basis, right? Because at the end of the day, we really can't feed other things in our life if we're not up to par where we need to be. And just because you're by yourself doesn't mean it's self-care. Because if you're by yourself and you're getting texts and calls and you're on your timeline and your feed is not feeding you. And while we're on that note, a lot of times we're disconnect from people who are, necessarily toxic or not healthy in our life that pull away from us. But we may follow or be, connected to people online that also do the same thing. Like sometimes you might need to go through and unfollow or unfriend people that is pulling away from your spirit when you get online, especially if you get online a lot. But either way, Jesus set the healthy boundary of saying no. His way of saying no was isolating from everybody. That's a healthy boundary of being able to say, all right, I'm separating from everybody. I need to make sure my spirit is right. I need to make sure I'm tapped into my source. And a lot of times we don't realize the demand of life keeps us so busy that we don't do that. We don't make time for that. But if we're never still enough or isolated enough to be in a place where God can speak into our spirit, then we never know what God may put in our spirit. That may give us peace about things we may have been worried about, stressed about, thinking about. So just keep all these things in mind, because ultimately I want y'all to stay refreshed. I want y'all to win. And remember that self-care is not something that always has to be above and over the top. Whatever it is that you can do to isolate yourself and recharge, that's what you should do. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. The more you grow, your price goes up. Share this with somebody.